Hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and start with the lesson that we did in class on Tuesday. This is 5.1 day 1. This is out of the Big Ideas textbook, and I've just taken certain chunks of it that I wanted to work with. So the front of the side of this worksheet is going to be notes. The back side of it is your assignment. If you are absent, please make sure that you're actually listening to this video, understanding the concept, because this is the introduction to this entire unit. Okay, so on these ones, we are going to be working with rationals and turning them into radicals. So what is a rational? Well, a rational is a number that has a fraction exponent. So we are going to convert that into a radical. The a value would go down here. The root, just like the roots of the tree are underground, the root is on the bottom. The root goes right on the outside. And if there is a power, which is on top, that's going to go right out here. That will become our exponent. Okay, so we are going to be doing these, some of them without a calculator, some of them we will need a calculator, so have your phone next to you. And I'm going to try to talk you through what I'm doing on my phone when I get to those. Now, when we take the square root of a number, if I take the square root, I'm going to say 2. So if I take the square root, there's a 2 here. We typically don't write 2. 2 is understood. But if we take the square root of a positive number, so positive 4, if I took the square root of that, that could be 2 times 2. That equals 4. It could also be negative 2 times negative 2. That also equals 4. So when I take the square root or the 4th root or the 6th root or the 8th root of a positive number, the answer could come out to be positive or negative. So this could be plus or minus 2. And that's what it says right here. Okay, so let's just say that I took the 4th root of 16. That could be positive or negative 2. It doesn't always have to be 2. That was just what I had that, came out with. Here, I'll erase that one and I'll do 81. What if I did the 4th root of 81? That would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And that could have been a positive 3 or a negative 3. Any of those numbers times themselves 4 times would give me 81. So if I take the root, an even root, 2, 4, 6, 8. If I take the even root of a number, I need to consider putting plus or minus in front of it, especially if they're asking me for the real root, because that says it could really be positive, it could really be negative, so that would be the real root. All right, well, what if they didn't ask me for a positive? Totally lost that one. What if they didn't give me an even degree, but they gave me an odd degree? So if they gave me, they said find the 3rd root of 27, this can only be positive 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 makes 27. But it can't be negative 3. Because negative 3 times negative 3 does make positive 9. But negative 3 times, or 9 times negative 3 makes negative 27. So if I had the cube root of negative 27, then that one would be negative 3. Okay. And lastly, you cannot take the even root of a negative number. So you could not take the square root of negative 4. There's no 2 numbers that would multiply together to give me negative 4. 2 times 2 is positive 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, so that wouldn't matter. What if I did the 4th root of negative 81? Well, negative 3 times negative 3 makes positive 9, times negative 3 makes negative 27, times negative 3 makes positive 81, so that wouldn't work. So when you see an even root with a negative number underneath, these ones here, these cannot be simplified further. So these are already simplified. I don't know if that's going to fit there. That's already simplified. You cannot simplify it further. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this worksheet. All right, the first one. The indicated real root. When it says real, that's what I need to worry about, positive and negative. If it was an even root. So here I have negative 216 is the radicand, and 3 is the root. 3 is an odd number, so it's an odd root. I don't have to worry about plus or minus. So I want to know what number times itself 3 times could give me 216. I need it to be negative, but I'm just going to think positive for a second. Well, it's an even number, so that means that the numbers in here need to be an even number. Okay, so I'm going to try to, and let's see what happens. 2 times 2 times 2, that gives me 8. So that's not going to work. If I do 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 again would give me 64. That's too small. So if I do 6 times 6 is 36. And if I do 36 times 6, that would give me 216. Okay. Now, if you have your calculator on your phone, go ahead and use that to check it. Okay. So I need them to be negative 6 because I need this to be a negative 216. So the cube root of negative 216 is negative 6. All right, number 2, I am going to take some number that will multiply to 81 when I multiply it times itself 4 times. So this one, I'm going to try 2 times 2 would be 4, times 2 would be 8, times 2 would be 16. That's too small. But it's also an odd number here. So since it's odd, the number that I'm multiplying times itself would have to be an odd number. 2 is an even number. So what if I do 3? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. Now, if you didn't know that, you could say 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 makes 81. So this one here is going to be 3. Now, because it's an even number, it has to be plus or minus 3. All right, number 3. I want to take the square root of negative 25. What two numbers times themselves would give me negative 25? There are none, because 5 times 5 makes 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 makes 25. So this one here cannot be simplified further. So I'm just going to put simplified. There's nothing else we can do to that one. All right, on this number 4, I want the 5th root of 32. And this time it's an odd index or an odd root. The radicand is even. So the number that I want multiplied times itself 5 times has to be even. And this time it's going to be 2. All right, so on these next ones, when we're evaluating the expression without using technology, so on these ones you definitely should not have a calculator. We've got to learn how to do these without. We are going to take our rational exponent and we are going to turn it into a radical. Okay, so the number underneath the radical is called the radicand. That's going to be 16. The root is 2. They normally don't write a 2. If it was 3, 4, 5, any other number they would, but 2 they don't typically write. So then we have 2 to the, square root of 16 to the 3rd power. My pen is kind of not working so well. So here I am going to say the square root of 16 is 4. 4 to the 3rd power, that's going to give me 64. Okay. All right, on number 6, I have 32 to the 5th root. And the exponent is -3. Now, the index 5 can never be negative. So the exponent, we can do something with if it's negative, but this number here cannot be a negative number. Okay, so we are going to rewrite this as 1 over . Sorry, it really is my pencil. I need to get a new tip on this one. So this one here, oops, over 3. So then I will have 1 over the 5th root of 32 is 2. So I have 2 to the 3rd, and that gives me 1 over 8. Now that negative exponent property, you have to remember that from Monday when we talked about it. You cannot have a negative exponent. So when you move it to the denominator, that would become a positive exponent of 3. All right, this one here for number 7. Here's my radical. My radicand is -8. The root is 3. And the power is 2. All right, cube root of -8 is -2. And -2 squared gives me positive 4. All right, now number 8, 9, and 10. These ones here, we are going to use the calculator. So if you were in class today, I did talk about how to use the calculator for these to plug it in. I'm going to look at my phone here and see if I can find the buttons. So I'm using an iPhone. If you have an Android, I believe the calculator is the same because I've looked at that one as well. So in the calculator for this one, I know that there is no number times itself 5 times that would give me 9. That's not one that I can think of. That wouldn't be a decimal. So when it's a decimal, we're going to use a calculator. And we are going to put in 9 to the 1/5 power. So here's how we're going to do that. Again, if you have the Android calculator or the Samsung or the iPhone calculator, we're going to put in 9. You're going to have a button that has X, Y, or might have Y to the X. And then we're going to put in parentheses, 1 divided by 5, close parentheses, and hit the equal sign. Okay, so in the calculator, 9 XY parentheses 1 divided by 5, and you should get approximately, and I'm going to check it one more time before I say it. So let me do that one more time. Okay, I've got approximately 1.55. All right, on number 12, on this one, you would type in 12 XY 3 divided by 8 in parentheses and hit equal. And I'm just trying it right as I'm talking to you guys as well. Just make sure you put those parentheses. Those parentheses are really important. On this one here, you should have 2.54 because that 9 after the 3 makes it round up. Okay, and the last one. Now, you have 2 options. You could find the 4th root of 7 and then take it to the power of 3. Or you could rewrite it so that it is 7 to the 3/4 power. Okay, so in your calculator, you would put in 7 x to the y parentheses 3 divided by 4. So 7 x to the y parentheses 3 divided by 4, close parenthesis, hit the equal sign, and I get 4.30. Okay. All right, that is it for this video. I hope that has helped you some. That is a very important topic. You are assigned the back of this worksheet, and then be sure to upload that on Canvas. All right, have a good night.